Guess what? We're going racing today. We are taking the second gen Cyclone back to the track, and hopefully, if it all goes according to plan, I am going to reset the personal best run for this truck. So if you're unfamiliar, the second gen Cyclone is this 98 Chevy S10. Yes, I know the Cyclone was a GMC. They never made this as a Cyclone, but it's my own. If you want to see the full build, I'll link another video in the description for you to check out later. But here's the gist of it. 5.3 LS swap, full-time all-wheel drive, and then this bad boy on top, a Harrop 2300 FDFI supercharger that makes all the coolest noises in the world. Now, the last time we went to a racetrack was right after we got the truck together with the supercharger installed. We went to LS Fest in Las Vegas. We were only permitted 2 runs where the truck ran. It was like a 12.3 and a 12.18 or 19 or something like that, low 12s. I want to go an 11 something in this truck, and since we made those last 2 hits, we actually have made a couple of changes. Most importantly, this guy right here. On its 12-second pass, the truck was wearing an 80 millimeter blower pulley. That is a 70 millimeter blower pulley, which should raise the boost to 15-ish PSI. Of course, we are at a much higher elevation now. Pueblo, I think, is 5,000 feet. Give or take. Anyway, so we've got the smaller blower pulley to spin the blower faster. We have a bigger alternator because we were experiencing some voltage drop before. Not that that's going to make us go faster, it's just we need voltage. And then finally, last time you guys saw the truck, we modified our little duct around the heat exchanger for the supercharger to help keep things cool. So I've got one more tune that I'm going to load up with a little bit more timing in it because we're feeling spicy. We'll get some E85. We'll head down to Pueblo and we'll make some hits. All right, so I checked the weather this morning. Everything looked great. We're getting a few raindrops, so hopefully we get to go, but fingers crossed. Check out our data log here in a minute, see how we did. Did we break the elusive 11? I don't know if we did or not. Thank you much. Aha, we did 1197, just barely, at 113. All right, first run's in the books. We're sitting in the staging lanes getting ready to do the second one. I just checked the log. We had 98 kPa of positive manifold pressure, which works out to like 14 and change for PSI of boost. So I can't really adjust that like I can with a turbo with a wastegate. It's just whatever the pulley's set at. So I can't complain. We got an 11-second pass our first time out. We'll see if maybe I can get a little bit better 60 foot or something like that. But we did it. Not bad, 14 pounds.
Challenger 112, 54, 113.
I lived in Maine, I went to Winterport Dragway with my dad, and we were just watching the cars run, and there was a pair that went up. There was an old Jag that looked like an 80s, I don't even know what it was, an 80s Jag, you know, the coupe, long nose, short tail. And there was like a 67, 68 C10, step side, ratty old stock looking truck. And my dad says, Lawrence, which truck or which vehicle do you think is gonna win? And to me, a young kid, I was probably, I don't know, 9 or 10 at the time, I looked at the two of them, and the Jag looked like a fast, fancy car. And the C10 was an old ratty truck. So I said, of course the Jag's gonna win. That Chevy truck smoked that fancy looking Jag. And I think to this day, that's why I like unassuming, plain looking vehicles. Because no one expects what they can do. Well, I love it when a plan comes together. It's kind of an easy day. We ran two 1190s, 1197 I believe the first time, 1193 the second time out. Didn't really change much. Mile an hour was almost exactly the same. Actually 60-footed better the first time than the second time. So maybe, I don't know if I'll go out again and do a second or a third run, but truck's running great. I can't complain at all. It's a fairly simple combo too. It's a stock 5.3, small cam, supercharger, all-wheel drive, and it works. All right, guys, we got a really cool video headed your way next week with some really exciting news. We're out here playing with the ugly truck, and as you can see, we're getting some pretty cool footage of it. We're using some cameras and stuff that I don't normally use, but this right here, I'm gonna put Blake on the spot. This is one of those pieces of gear that I think is really, really cool, because even back in my TV days, we never had gear that was quite this cool. We're about to go shoot some car-to-car stuff. Again, you'll see this all in next week's video, which you are not gonna wanna miss, by the way. But here's my little nerd moment. We're rigging up this thing. Blake, what do you call this?
We just have an Axis Innovations arm from Top Crane and Axis Innovations, and a little Ronin 2 with a red camera, so a little cinema rig.
So basically, we're going to be driving around, get some really cool shots. And like, I don't know, that's like a motocross bike shock absorber. You get some really cool bars and stuff. I know next to nothing about cameras, but this one looks incredibly fancy. But anyway, if you guys are anywhere near Colorado, hit up Blake, 392 Media, right?
Thanks, guys. Yeah, sure.
So hit up Blake. He makes some really cool stuff, and like I said, you're going to see his footage in next week's video. But I just want to nerd out on this gear because, to me, that is way cool. Back at the shop, we do now have a pretty gnarly repair that we need to take care of. The gnarly repair is not on the S10, thankfully. We do have something to fix on it, though, after our excursion, the fuel gauge. We'll take care of that later. That's fairly insignificant. But let me just show you what that pile of metal I just showed you was all about. So this is an oil pan from an SRT8 Cherokee. Chris is working on it down there. This belongs to a customer of ours, and the engine experienced a piston failure. Basically, the piston disintegrated, fell in the pan, and something cracked the oil pan. So we are going to repair it. Thankfully, we have the tools to do so. So we're going to fire up the TIG. We are going to clean the metal, take on some cast aluminum repair. Now, there's really no chunks or anything like that missing. In fact, what happened, just this rib here, something must have just barely tapped that, and there's a crack on the outside of the pan right through there. So obviously, first step, get everything cleaned up, and then I have identified where the crack goes. Like I said, just a hairline fracture from here to here, another little one from here. I'm going to drill out each end of the crack to stop it from spreading further, kind of V it out, then we'll fire up the TIG and get it repaired. just a little while later, we're doing the good old-fashioned water leak test. So we got this thing topped off, and I don't know how good you're gonna be able to see it, but that's where we welded her up and tried to make it blend in and look nice. We'll let it sit overnight just to make sure that it doesn't leak. We got the ZR2 in the shop, just doing an oil change, 5-way tire rotation. Those tires wear fast. This is a obviously heavy truck, has those Goodyear Wrangler something or others on there. Yeah. Truck's got 20,000 miles on it, and the tires are like half gone. They're a little more than half gone. 40,000 miles, I guess. But the I know the Ridge Grapplers I had on the last truck, they lasted a lot longer. Anyhow, back to the S10. I need to start keeping track because I think I've had the bed off this truck probably a dozen times. Thankfully, it's easy. Now, the one thing I love about pickup trucks is that anytime you have to access the fuel tank, for the most part, it's a lot easier and quicker just to pull the bed off rather than drop the tank from underneath. Although I have seen a lot of people, they do the old cutoff wheel technique. They cut a square in the hole of the bed. And while I will agree that might be more convenient, that's hackery. I will never do it. I mean, unless maybe I lived in the Northeast and had a super rusty truck and just didn't care. But even then, I probably still wouldn't do it. So here's the whole reason for what we're about to do. When I got back from the track the other night, my fuel tank, or the gauge, showed full. Now I did fill up the tank before I left. I drove probably 130 miles round trip and made a couple passes down the track, and the gauge still says full. So either we're getting incredibly good fuel mileage, which I doubt, or something's not right inside. I'm guessing that one. That'll do it. What we've got to do is put this guy back in its place. Maybe hold it there with a zip tie. We'll be good to go. What's that? And I'll always do just a quick function test. So there, the gauge shows empty. And then we will switch this guy. That should be full. And the gauge is following right along. So, put it back in the tank and be back on our way. Great thing about this truck or any project truck that I've built, you build for yourself, is you get it out on the road, you enjoy it, and this is my therapy. If I had a stressful week and I'm worried about anything, whether it's finances or the shop or the channel, any of that stuff, hop in the truck, drive, hear some cool sounds, all your stresses and trouble melt away. Temporarily, but this is what I enjoy, guys. So thank you so much for watching. I'm really excited for next week's video. I think you guys are going to be excited about next week's as well. Like I said, got some cool stuff going on in the channel, big changes coming, and you can be a part of it. So thank you guys for watching. Come back.